Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pop Therapy, a podcast where we explore the intersection between psychology and pop culture. There's so much to unpack. So let's get started. Well. Look who's come crawling back. If it isn't season 2, staring at me right in the face. This is me, Omar, your friendly neighborhood therapist, here to officially welcome you to, what I already stated was season 2. I'm so happy to have you all back. I wanted to start off with something that I hope is hopeful. I hope it's hopeful. I know things have been absolutely bonkers, socially, politically, in every sense of the word. And for what it's worth, y'all, I gotta say, I'm hopeful for our future. I still feel very hopeful. A lot of it is by design, meaning I listen to a lot of people or listen to voices and read from the writings of people that inspire me and that keep me informed at the same time. So, one thing I like to tell clients is if you're feeling super hopeless, let me hold on to the hope for you. Let me hold on to it for you. And then when you're ready to have a little bit of hope back, I am ready to give it back. So I'm sort of like the container for hope for my clients. And I want to offer that to anyone that's listening, to anyone that's feeling overwhelmed with what's going on in the news. I still feel hopeful. I'm seeing a lot of wonderful human beings, a lot of really brilliant people out there fighting the good fight. And that keeps me hopeful. And again, for what it's worth, I'm feeling hopeful about the future. With that being said, I want to talk a little bit about rage bait. So for anyone that doesn't know, I'm sure most of you do. Rage bait is kind of like a technique that's used often on social media, but not just on social media. News outlets do it too, where they say something or write something super provocative in an attempt to basically incite rage in the audience, right? In the viewers. Oftentimes that rage translates into clicks. It translates into engagement, which is why so much of what you see on social media is like rage baity material. One of the things I want to try to do on this podcast, and I think I'll do it on my Instagram as well, is I want to help everyone microdose rage bait. I want to help everyone kind of take back a little bit of control in those moments and learn how to emotionally regulate, how to not react right away. A lot of what I'm seeing right now is people being manipulated and coerced through rage baiting. And so one thing I want to try, this is my effort in trying to like give back or do some good or something while I'm here on this earth, is to sort of help everyone not desensitize themselves to it, but learn how to take back a little bit of control and learn how to take back choice in those moments. Okay. So with that being so, I'm going to say something, right? And you're not going to know whether or not I believe this is true. I'm going to say it because this is one of the things that I've noticed like inspires a lot of rage in people. The things that I will pick will almost always be, if not always, be like low stakes stuff. So nothing can matter less, right? Like no one's going to die by the outcome of what I'm saying, by the outcome of this discourse. So what I want you to do is, right, just keep in mind, you don't know whether or not I'm telling the truth. You don't know whether or not I actually believe what I'm about to say, but that's often how it is on social media too. People say shit all the time, and whether or not they actually believe it or they were paid to do it, I mean, who knows, right? So the point is after I say this thing, you are just going to sit with whatever feeling that comes up, and you're going to remind yourself that nothing could matter less. In that moment, you're not going to react. You're just going to notice if there's any discomfort that comes up, if there's any anger that comes up, and you're going to practice self-soothing in that moment, not reacting in that moment, and just sort of letting the feeling pass by, right? And again, this is in an effort to help you take back control and choice. This is in an effort to help you slow down instead of consuming and just getting overwhelmed with all these headlines and rage baity content. So the line I'm going to use, again, you don't know if I believe it or not, but that doesn't matter, is Taylor Swift is the greatest lyricist of all time. So I'm purposely using this line because Taylor Swift is one of those figures that I find to be quite polarizing. And do I actually believe she's the greatest lyricist of all time? Maybe. Maybe I do. But I'm not going to tell you whether or not I do. That's not the point. The point is for you to just take that in and feel whatever comes up. I want you to relax your face while you're thinking about this. I want you to relax your shoulders. You might be tensing up. Even when you hear her name, you might be tensing up. So take a moment to do a little body scan and just release the tension. And notice whatever comes up for you and remind yourself, could anything matter less in this moment, whether or not Omar actually believes that? And slow down your entire sort of thought process, cognitive process, right? Because usually we're used to just reacting right away. This is giving y'all a chance to slow down, not react, and just let this moment pass by. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to react at all. So take that moment to release all the tension in your face, in your shoulders, and just go about your day. And this is what I'm hoping to do regularly to help everyone sort of navigate what feels like landmines in the social media landscape and, the news landscape for that matter. Yeah, I hope you find that useful. I think over time you will. It may seem kind of silly now, but bear with me. I think over time, y'all are going to be less susceptible to rage bait content. That's my hope. That's my dream for you, and that we have more thoughtful conversations and that we do less reacting and use more discernment, essentially. So with that being said, I'm so excited to introduce my first guest of season 2. He is a comic. He is also a senior culture writer at Newsweek. He hosts a podcast where he's interviewing all sorts of really fascinating celebrities, reality stars, influencers, and the like. Again, I'm so glad to have him here. I mean, this is a pop culture / mental health podcast, so obviously I have to have a pop culture expert on here. Please welcome into your hearts, H. Alan Scott.
Oh my God, I'm breaking the cherry of season 2.
Yes, you are.
I love it.
Yay.
I love it. I'm trying to think of season 2s that I've really enjoyed of television shows. I really enjoyed Sex and the City season 2.
Ooh,
oh my God, season 2 of The Office is fantastic. I mean, there's so many. The Sopranos.
Yes. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Season 2,
yes.
I believe, I could be wrong. I believe season 2 was its highest rated season of all the seasons. I believe. It's not my number one favorite season, but yeah.
I've been told, no, I'm not a Buffy aficionado, but I've been told that as the years went on, Buffy got much better. And this is where I have a problem, and the old angry Jewish grandma comes out in me, in that when people say the line, just wait, you gotta get through you got to get through a couple seasons before it gets good. And then I go, why is it worth watching something for a couple seasons if they were shit before it gets good? It's got to be good by episode 1.
It's got to be good right now. I don't
understand it.
That is a really good point. So I am guilty of doing that with Buffy, where I will tell people, just get through season 1. And it really picks up only because...
just get through 20 episodes.
That is a fair critique. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to stop saying that. I will give you that. I completely agree. It's like, just sit through 20 hours of something and then you'll love it. I know.
I also
that's fair.
I want to respond to your rage bait something
please,
as well. If I can. One of the things that I have found, because I've been around a minute. Omar, I've been around a minute, okay? And I've been doing this game for a minute too. And I've done the things. I've been a part of the culture of clickbait response think pieces on the internet. I come from thought catalog days. Yeah. I get it. And I get rage bait because half of that writing and some of that I even did was rage bait, even if it was unintentional rage bait. It became rage bait. And I've been used as a catalyst for rage bait and in interviews and things I've done, whatever. And one of the things that I actively did, and I remember this particularly around Black Lives Matter and when the Ferguson sort of things were happening. And I'm from Missouri. I'm from St. Louis. And that community I know it well. And so I remember in that moment, I had to ask myself, is it my place to chime into this conversation, knowing how much of course I know the community, I know people in the community, I'm familiar with the community, but I also know my place in the world. I'm a cis presenting white man. I mean, I am white. That's not presenting. That's pretty obvious. And I know my place in the world and how people perceive me. And so it was really helpful for me to be able to say, maybe my voice isn't what is a part of this conversation. Maybe I can amplify the voices that should. And I think that's the same across the board in many circumstances, not just with race-related conversations, but with any rage bait situation. Ask yourself before you comment or do the thing or share the thing, am I adding something to this? Or am I just becoming a part of the chorus of noise?
Or am I trying to center myself? Am I trying to make myself the main character here? Which brings me to something I read recently. It's coined by these two therapists, these women on Instagram I saw. They called it the bean soup theory. And
I love a bean soup. My God. A nice lentil soup.
And 'tis the season. Now it is bean soup time. I have a similar phrase that I use, which is the potato salad syndrome. And so
I love a potato salad. Stop dropping the food references, Omar.
Now we're both starving. We're drooling here.
Yes.
But basically it refers to, in my experience, I was on Instagram. I saw someone post a video about a low-cal, high-protein potato salad. Pretty innocuous. And they were like, here's how you can keep the flavor, but it's lower calories because of blah, 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 blah. And so I was just like watching it, and the comment section on this potato salad video, girl, you would think that this man was saying something really like politically controversial.
Wait, what were the comments?
The comments were, well, what if I'm allergic to bacon? I hate bacon. You put yogurt in it. Oh my, I would never put yogurt. I'm lactose intolerant. People really, really going off in the comment section. Again, reacting as if he shared something super controversial. This guy was just like, here's a potato salad recipe. It retains a lot of flavor, blah, 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 blah. Here, try it. He wasn't trying to reinvent the potato salad.
See, my dumb brain immediately goes to, why is everyone obsessed with so much protein? Calm down. You need a little carb. You need a little fat.
Yes.
Calm down, everyone.
Amen.
Water does not need to have protein.
No, I don't need my ice cubes to have protein. Thank you.
Your popcorn? Yeah. What are you doing, Khloe Kardashian, for anyone not to know?
Oh, that's right.
We don't need popcorn protein.
Chicken is just fine. Thank you very much. I'll get my protein from chicken. But these comment sections were tearing apart the recipes and the ingredients he was using, again, as if he said something really, really insensitive or controversial. And so it mirrors this idea of the bean soup theory, which is, again, someone posted a recipe about bean soup and people were going off in the comments being like, but I'm allergic to beans. And it's this phenomenon where people will see content on social media and make themselves at the center of it and make the content almost like about them.
I see that. I agree with that. I hear that, but I'm going to push back a little bit.
Let's do it.
In that using therapy terms, in that I exist on the internet. My career mainly is the internet, and I think I'm a creature of the internet. I mean, one of the things that I think was heartwarming the other day when Diane Keaton passed away, that I thought I really was proud of, is that people were like, "Oh, you were the first person I thought of," because I post about, I post about her a lot. I post about whatever, these women a lot. And that made me happy knowing that my persona online gives people that reaction, that they want to then reach out and say those things. So I think that is very sweet. And I thank them for that. But I say that to illustrate a point that oftentimes there is this is it parasocial? There is this relationship that we have with people online where I'm presenting a very particular and intentional part of myself online. And I'm doing it in a professional capacity through my comedic journalistic lens, that I'm giving you a part of my life. But you don't know anything about me online. You don't know my real life, really. You don't know who I am. But people will respond in a way, oftentimes, sometimes inappropriate, sometimes a little too personal, sometimes a little agitated, because they do have this daily relationship with you in a very specific and intentional way. And it becomes personal. And I always try to remember that for some people who don't have don't do what I do, they don't see the internet in this way. They literally see me as someone who they can reach out to and respond to about whatever. And I get that. I also create a safe space and a line in which I won't cross. But at the same time, I understand where they're coming from. So if somebody, for example, comes at me and says, which is a comment I get often, you'd be so much more handsome if you weren't wearing makeup, or you don't need to lose the weight, or you don't need whatever these things. These are inappropriate things to say to me. And yet, because they have this personal relationship with me, I understand the intent of where they're coming from with these things.
Right.
While also recognizing that it is not appropriate.
That is so well said, because as you put yourself more and more into the public sphere, I think that psychological approach is necessary to understand that while it may be a parasocial relationship, it's still a relationship. And that a lot of what people are saying to you comes from that space of them feeling really close to you, or them feeling
seen
seen
even
by
though I'm
you.
not doing anything to them.
And I think that's that's one of the more heartwarming sort of experiences on the internet when it comes to parasocial relationships. And then there are ones that feel and sound nastier or crueler, where people they get really, really angry and they sort of lash out, which is a little bit more of what I saw on the potato salad recipe, of people getting like really angry, as opposed to, just sort of looking at the ingredients and thinking, oh, well, I don't do pork, so I'm not going to do pork. But then writing in the comment section almost like, how dare you add pork to this recipe? And so the ability to be able to say, oh, this is not for me, so I'm going to keep scrolling. Or, oh, this isn't or I'm allergic to bacon. Okay, well, I'll use turkey bacon, right? The ability to be able to have that process on your own when you're consuming content, as well as someone in your position being able to understand what these reactions are actually about. Like you said, it is a dance. It's a bit of a tightrope walk for sure. Yeah. And in my own sort of effort or attempt to help with emotional regulation, I mean, it's part of my job, is why I'm so interested in helping folks. Well, one, I'm really interested in understanding rage bait more. And also I'm becoming more and more interested in helping folks self-regulate during those moments and make, again, and use more discernment versus a reflexive knee-jerk reaction, which rarely gives you the effect you want it to in the first place.
Yeah, totally agree.
So it's just especially when it comes to, I mean, and we'll chat about this more, but especially when it comes to celebrities, it's similar to what you were saying. Because it's very public facing, but very artistic at the same time, there's a lot of elements at play when we talk about a celebrity. So you've done a bunch of interviews with celebrities. I'm curious. I mean, actually, let me start out by saying this. So I'm looking down because I have my notes here. One of the things that I realized was happening to me as I was looking through your work and just getting a taste of your history, your work, who you've worked with, and your style, there were so many questions that came up for me, so many things I wanted to talk to you about. I was like, oh my God, I want to talk to him about this. Oh my God, I want to talk to. So, I mean, I just want to say, I think that's a testament to you, to how much good work you put out there, because there were so many, we were audiences before we actually started recording. We were talking about the length of podcasts. I could easily see myself doing a 2-hour podcast with you, even though you were like, absolutely not. I hate 2-hour long podcast, which I totally get. 2 hours is a lot.
Oh my God. I become a diva with something. If I tell, like, I've gotten to the point now where I tell people I have a heart out. I have a heart out.
No,
even when I don't.
No, good for you. Good for you. But you've done so much with your career that like there's so much I want to talk to you about. But in any case, again, I think that's a testament to just how versatile you are and just like all the good work that you're doing. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was this idea of the movie star.
Yes.
So you recently interviewed Keira Knightley, and one of the things that you mentioned was, oh, this is like a star. Like she is a star, which I agree. I've heard like there's some secret society I'm a part of. Some of the discourse around movie stars I find interesting. One being that like this idea of the movie star, it's not what it used to be. Like there is no like Julia Roberts. I mean, she's around, but the idea of movie star like a Julia Roberts or like a Angelina Jolie, that kind of celebrity or that kind of movie star doesn't exist anymore. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because there's a part of me that thinks, oh yeah, some of that kind of resonates with me. I think I agree with that. And then there's another part of me that wonders, oh, is this me getting older? Like, is this me being like a back in my day, like is it that? Or have you seen this idea of the movie star, have you seen it change over time?
Well, I think there's a lot of layers to that question. And I think you have to look at sort of how stardom morphed in the 90s going into the aughts, and then the introduction of social media. And I think social media was a big part of the dismantling of the idea of the superstar. You know what I mean? The George Clooney's, the Julia Roberts, the Denzel Washingtons, those people. Because, and I think you could probably, and I can't really speak a lot to this, but you could probably credit Anna Wintour in understanding the relationship between fashion, movie stars, celebrities, and then of course, you know, these advertising campaigns for colognes, for perfumes, for all these things, moving on from models to movie stars. And so all of a sudden the models became less important for these things, the advertising part of it, and the movie stars became the things you see in perfume ads. And so that heightened the sense of a movie star in a way that allowed people like Julia Roberts, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, et cetera, Angelina Jolie, Charlize Theron, even Nicole Kidman to this day.
Yeah.
Like there are few examples of those who became those mega, almost to the point, and I talked with Tom Hanks about this when I interviewed him a while ago for that Elvis movie.
Drop, but, love it.
You know, it's just reality.
Gotta do what you gotta do. I love it.
But about how, while Tom Hanks is a very good actor, so much of what Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts, George Clooney, et cetera, have to do is they have to find that dance between the star that we know and relate to, which is the person, versus the character they're playing. And we don't have a lot of that these days because of actors and creative people. Social media has sort of made every new star tangible.
Yeah.
You can reach
accessible.
Out to them. They're close on your phone.
Right.
You're seeing their stories in real time. You're seeing these things. And Jennifer Aniston is on Instagram. Like, you're seeing these things. And I think that has changed the idea of what these massive untouchable stars are, because now they're touchable. They're very reachable.
Right.
And so I think that has changed how we view stars. That said, now there's a reason why some of these older stars like Nicole Kidman, when she does something, it breaks the internet.
Yeah.
And it becomes this massive moment, even the smallest of things. Like her, I'm thinking of the moment on the red carpet when she was promoting Baby Girl, and she was asked a question from Pop Crave, I think it was. And she was like, who? What?
Yeah, oh, that's right.
She made kind of like a crazy face, being like, okay, here we are.
Sure.
And it's this massive, massive, massive star that is known worldwide.
Right.
reacting in a very relatable way to something absurd called pop crave, and or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and she was like confused, like, okay, like, you could see the wheels turning. She was like, wait, am I being punked? Is this a joke? What's
yeah. And we don't have that. And I think now we're seeing the end of days of sort of that class of movie stars that have somehow stood the test of time. And I think what will be really interesting is in 20 years' time, who will be those stars of comparison to Nicole Kidman, Julia Roberts, George Clooney, et cetera. And who will maintain. And that's kind of an open question because the idea of a movie star is very different these days.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a really good point. The role that social media played in making these movie stars, celebrities more accessible and more relatable, like the impact of that. Because you're right. I think there was a untouchability. There was like almost like a mythical feeling to a lot of these movie stars that I think added to the idea of a movie star. Speaking of, I of course have to ask you, you've interviewed so many like icons, legends, incredible individuals. Is there any one interview that you consider to be the most memorable or one of the most memorable interviews for whatever reason? Maybe they surprised you or maybe they were exactly the way you hoped they would be. Do any come to mind?
Yeah, two come to mind. And these are the two I often reference. The first is Bette Midler. I grew up like obsessed with Bette Midler on a level that I have her, Rosie O'Donnell. There's a few people that I've shaped my comedic brain after, my the way I just conduct myself, the pop culture that I love. It is defined by her.
Talk about a movie star. I mean,
yes, exactly. We'll talk about an all-around star. I mean, like an entertainer. I mean, just on so many levels. And she was tangible both on screen, in records, on television. I mean, she hit every box. And so I was really nervous. I've interviewed her a few times now, and humble brag. And but the first time I remember I went into it and I was very nervous. It was for Hocus Pocus 2. And her team knew how much she meant to me. Like her team knew I made it clear this person is big for me, because that was part of my pitch, is that like I can't do this without someday talking to this woman.
Yeah.
And so I need to make this happen, and I'll do whatever I can to make this happen. And I'll do whatever you want to make this happen. More so is really what I said. And so they went into it, and she was so giving, and she was so, and what I thought was so interesting about her, and this speaks to, I think, an actual sort of like mental connection, is that when we're a kid and you have these stars that impact you, it makes a massive, massive difference in your life.
They like imprint on you.
There's an imprint that they have on you. I mean, going back to Tom Hanks, even like watching his acceptance speech for Philadelphia and being a little gay boy and knowing that I'm somehow connected to what he's talking about, but I don't know why.
Right.
And the impact that him in that performance, while he acknowledges today a queer actor would be playing that part, I had to then say, but no, in that time, in that era, it was actually very important for someone like you to be playing this part, and the impact that it has on an entire generation, not only of gay men, but of society in general. And there's power there. The power of the star in that moment to actually be an agent of change for good is actually, I think, a really interesting thing. And Bette Midler was kind of like that for me. I mean, not in that same way as Tom Hanks, but like she was just influential in that, I didn't have the best home life when I was a kid. So I turned to a lot of these stars to sort of be the outlet for distraction. And I didn't tell Bette Midler all of that. I have since. But that in that moment, I was just sort of explaining to her why she was so big and important and everything. Anyway, so the interview was fantastic. She was fantastic. And then afterwards, now this doesn't happen. I'll say preface this by saying this. This doesn't happen all the time. But a few weeks later, I get a box, and it's just a really lovely note from her, just saying really amazing things. And then it was just everything signed, everything that she could possibly get. Oh my
gosh.
And I share that to then say that A, meet your heroes, but B, like there is something about, she recognizes that her career is because of people, fans like me.
Right.
And instead of just receiving it, which is totally fine for her just to receive, just receive the love and move on.
Yeah.
She follows through and executes it in a way that I think is really special.
That is so incredibly heartwarming, especially given the impact that her artistry has on little gay boys, had on little gay boys. For you, you mentioned that some of it was like a lovely, helpful distraction. I would also imagine that a lot of it also felt healing or healing and whimsical at the same time. I don't know. That's what I think of when I think of things as a little gay boy that, as you know, as we said earlier, almost like imprinted onto us. There was something about it that always felt whimsical and where I always felt a little bit seen and not quite so alone. The distraction was also huge for me. It was really, really helpful. But what was also incredibly touching was the part where I was like, there's for some reason I feel less alone. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't have the language to define this or talk about this because, you know, you're like a little kid. So I'm imagining that was also a part of the experience for you as well, watching folks like Bette Midler.
1000%. I mean, and even just speaking about Diane Keaton, like, you know, I wrote a paper on her in 7th grade just because it was one of those free, those like reports that you could just like write whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
And I was so obsessed with Diane Keaton that I wrote it on Diane Keaton. And so there is this impact that they have on you in a way. And so when Diane passed away, it hit me hard, not because what it says about me and my life and getting older and these things are going to happen and all these, like, you know, Bette Midler's going to die. These people are going to die. And you know that, of course, you know that. But it's this idea of, you know, their aura having an impact on you and what it says about your life. And then when that light is gone, when that person is gone, they just become this very tangible memory, but they just become this memory. But there's a sadness there that is just like, it's just heartbreaking because, you know, you want them to live forever and they can't. And, but you think back on sort of the stupid things you did obsessing over them over the years, like getting out of school early to go see the first showing of their films, even the bad ones, or writing the paper or any, you know, whatever it is. And they become these sort of touchstones in your life that then, you know, I think back when she passed, it makes me think of all the other moments that her content, her things have impacted my life. And it makes me then think about my life.
Yeah.
And I think the power of nostalgia in that way is really, really, really heavy.
Yeah.
And it can be both emotional, it can be a trigger, but it can also be something of a piece of joy.
Yeah. And I have to say, you know, the feeling, the sadness of it, seeing so many people share in that was lovely to see. And despite the circumstances being unfortunate, right? Like someone's passing, it was nice to see so many people for once kind of all at the same time say, oh, fuck, we're sad. We're sad.
Yeah.
And she was important to me or she was impactful for whatever reason. I mean, me personally, I cannot tell you, this is such a random fact about me. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen Baby Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Like growing up randomly. I would we're talking definitely maybe close to triple digits at this point. Anytime it ran on cable television, I would watch it. Once I was able to stream it, I would like just randomly put it on. And, you know, just remembering that and feeling nostalgic about that and then hearing of her passing, it just like brought up all these memories of me home from school, sick, just watching Baby Boom and having like the time of my life.
Totally. But you know what also, like, I think another thing that I was thinking about, I was chatting with another friend about this, about how seeing all of the posts about her and seeing the collective sort of community come around saying we loved this person and we want to honor this person. In a small way, it's validating because it's almost like you're just so glad everyone else got the thing that you were the only one that you thought you were the only one that got because you know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. You know, in gay bar, people are going to whatever with Diane Keaton. Like I knew that was the thing, but I didn't know. I knew she was loved, but not in that way. And then to see it, it's just sort of, it's just really validating. Like you were in on a secret that everyone else knew.
It felt very connecting in a like in a lovely way, but also sad way, again, because of the passing itself, right? Which isn't a bad thing. I think we try to avoid sad things a little too much sometimes. And this is one of those things where I think, no, you like be sad for a little bit. You know, it's okay. Yeah, it's totally okay. I mean, sure, don't let it disrupt your life so much that you're not paying your rent. But I mean, you can be a little bummed. You can share a post, and seeing all of that, to your point, was so lovely to see. I was like, oh, right. Again, I wasn't alone. I'm not alone in all of this.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really lovely to see. So I wanted to quickly do a little bit of time traveling. So when I was on podcast you used to co-host with Brendan Elliott, You're Making It Worse, we chatted about gay men's behavior on social media, namely Instagram, right? And this will make sense, I promise. And I recently my boyfriend recently rewatched Broken Hearts Club.
Oh, yeah. And I love that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd seen it a bunch of times. I was sort of like cleaning while he was like watching it. So I was like in and out, kind of like half paying attention, and then sometimes popping my head back in and being like, oh my God, I forgot about this scene.
Can you believe the journey Dean Cain's been on?
Talk about sad. Talk about sad.
From gay to ice.
I mean,
and
and rewatching that, I was reminded of just like how handsome he is. And then, and then me and my boyfriend were talking about like, wow, what a fall from grace that one.
What a fall from grace. I mean, and that's the thing too. That's the thing that Dean Cain needs to understand is that when you turn on the gays, your career is over.
You're donezo. Yeah.
Like you got nobody, because there are two people that run the internet, women and gays.
Amen.
And if you lose, I mean, and frankly, I don't think he's really working in the other group either, but like I can say from the gays, he's gone.
Yeah,
and so
that's
keep us in good graces. You don't got to do much. You know?
I mean, the bar is on the floor. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't be a hateful, like insane MAGA weirdo. Yeah. Basically, it's like, again, on the floor, the standards. And so so as my boyfriend was watching it, a thought that I had that came up that I think relates to what I mentioned earlier about what we talked about on your podcast, which is like, have things changed that much? Like there was so much from Broken Hearts Club that I thought, oh, wow, they like nailed that. There's still so much that gay men talk about till this day. And so there was a part of me that thought, wow, like what an impressive feat for a movie to still be relevant. You know what I mean? For so many parts of it to still be relevant. And then there was another part of me that was a little bummed out because I was like, wait, so we haven't changed, have we? Like, we're still talking about the same things, and there are still the same challenges that come up. And so that like bummed me out a little bit. I'd love to hear your thoughts on like whether or not you think maybe there has been a lot more change than I'm giving us credit for. Yeah, take it away.
Well, I think change is sometimes overrated.
Yeah.
And I think I will say I do think that sometimes, I mean, listen, I made a career out of nostalgia, so let me know. Let you know, change is not something that I'm necessarily eager to go through. But that said, I do sometimes think that we put so much on like evolving, which is good. Evolving is good, but it's also like, don't force it. And I think when marriage equality happened, there was this shift in, and I only want to speak for the male portion of the queerness in this respect, because I feel like women were doing it very different. Lesbians were doing it very different from years before us. But there was this push of normalization of monogamy, of marriage, of children, of all those things. And those are wonderful things if you want those things. Those are wonderful things. But there was this sort of, it became almost this, I wouldn't say pressure, but expectation that, well, of course you're going to.
I would say pressure. I think that's accurate. Yeah.
And I think for years and years and years, the modern dandy gentleman has been a counterculture figure in every respect of the word. Even the basic ones have been counterculture. Even the bankers out there in the 1970s who were going to Chelsea Pier to get a little tickle, even those dudes were counterculture, even though they were living a life that was very much like, you have a good job, you whatever.
Right.
And so I think we often forget to celebrate how weird we are. And it's like cool to be a little bit not like everybody else because everyone else has been doing the same thing for thousands of years.
Right.
We finally are in a place in our society where we can openly be a little bit different. We don't got to be like them. And so I think there's just so much attention on like evolving into being basic. That I'm just sort of like, shut up.
Chill
out. Chill out. You know, like I'm okay if I want to live this, if I want to be doing the things that I'm doing in the 20s, in my 40s and 50s in a safe, consentful,
of course,
way, well then what's wrong with that?
Yeah. Here's to being a little bit weird, right? Because I think that, and that's one of those things that can apply to anyone, everyone. Be a little bit weird, and you do not have to rush to evolving. I mean, let it happen. Sure, the pursuit of being, quote unquote, better, happier, healthier, all that stuff. I think the pursuit of that, I think it's like a noble pursuit. There's also something to be said for slowing down and just like taking a break from the pursuit of it and letting life kind of life for a little bit. Well,
and I think Diane Keaton, going back to Diane Keaton, is a great example of that. That is a woman who never married, who adopted children in her 50s on her own. Yes, she was wealthy, so that was probably very easy for her, but still, like she continually lived a life unconventionally in a very privileged way, but yet still unconventionally. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Yeah.
I don't need to have kids or like do the things that my siblings are doing, even though every time I go back to visit my siblings, it's just sort of like I'm reminded, I don't even care if they hear this because they've heard me say it before. I'm reminded how basic and boring. I just can't like,
it can be.
I mean, and God bless, there's also like a lot of love in being boring too. And I think that's good. But of course. I need to. Not
for me. Yeah, exactly. And embracing that. I think that's wonderful. Embracing the parts of you that aren't quote unquote mainstream. You know what I mean? I will say I have noticed since we spoke on your podcast about gay men. So listeners, when I was on the podcast You're Making It Worse, we chatted a little bit about this thing that gay men do sometimes where the caption would be something really spiritual or really like a quote from Gandhi or something like, be kind to one another. It'd be something like that with the picture being of them like in a Speedo, naked,
Pubes.
right? Pubes.
Yes.
Pole and hole.
What did my friend say? Bush on Maine.
Bush. Bush on Maine. Precisely. Yeah. And the, I guess you could call it the juxtaposition between this like very obviously thirsty picture, which is totally fine, but accompanied by a caption that seemed completely irrelevant to the picture, and almost it felt like an attempt to legitimize the picture itself, right? And one of the arguments or one of the things we chatted about was just do the picture. You do not have to quote Mother Teresa. You don't have to have some like spiritual or like mental health therapy like line or quote in there.
You don't need to validate it.
You don't have to validate it. So what I was thinking as I was preparing for this, interview was the fact that I feel like that has changed. I
think so too. I fully agree with that. Okay. I was going to say that. I think you're right. And I think maybe COVID might have had an impact on that. In that, I don't know, but like
that's a good point.
There is this element of, I think we stopped, and maybe Trump had an element on this too, but I think we stopped caring about what people think of us. and I think it's, I mean, that's not true because people still do, but like there is this level of lack of shame, both in terms, and I mean that in a good and a bad way. I think losing shame is a good thing, but I think sometimes having a little bit of shame is healthy because it stops you from doing some things that you shouldn't do,
right?
Or say, or whatever it is. And I think for some of those dudes, they've got to a place where it's just like, listen, everyone's nude is out there. Everyone's slutty. Everyone's horny. Everyone's all the things. So just post the fucking picture. Don't do anything. Post a peach emoji as the caption and move on with your day because everyone knows that's what you want us to see.
That's what you want. Yeah.
And you know what? I say God bless. I want to see it. I want to applaud it. I want everyone to be as slutty as they want to be. I am
Amen.
gay.
Amen. I've seen a lot fewer captions that feel absolutely irrelevant or random.
Same.
And it is just a hot, slutty picture. And sometimes there isn't even a caption. Sometimes it's just like, hump day. And I'm like, great, I'll take it.
And you know what I'm seeing? You know what I'm also seeing that I actually find really refreshing? I mean, of course, the gay dudes are doing it all the time, left and right. They've been doing it since the 70s when the gay banker was getting blown on the Chelsea Pier. But I'm seeing more and more women do it, straight women.
Hallelujah.
And I'm also seeing more and more, and this is what's fascinating, straight men doing it, and particularly doing it. And this is the gay baiting. Sure, there's a little bit of gay baiting here, but I'm also
I don't know. I'm like kind of like I don't.
Yeah. Whatever.
I have bigger fish. I have bigger things to worry about.
Everyone wants a little attention.
Yeah.
And if you taking a shirtless pic in gray sweatpants as a straight dude, and you get all this attention from gay dudes, if you want that,
good for you. Get it.
Good for you, baby. Get it.
Hell yeah.
Get it.
Hell yeah.
And I'm seeing more of that. That I think is fascinating.
Oh, that is fascinating. And to your point, refreshing. So to all the straight men, post a few thoughty pictures. Why not? Be a little
slutty.
Weird.
Don't be weird when the gay dude responds.
Yes, don't be weird or creepy or mean. Also, don't be mean. But feel free. Be a little slutty on Instagram. Why not? So I'd like to attribute that to you, Brenda and Elliot. You helped pave the way for that change.
I think only I did, because I know them. They're not as forward in that way that I am. I'm definitely like, I want everyone to be as slutty as they can be and do it unabashedly.
Yeah.
Whereas Elliot will have a crippling mental breakdown of, what does it mean? I'm like, it ain't got to mean nothing.
It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't. I also appreciate the what does it mean? I don't know. I find that endearing and charming too. Yeah. And also sometimes you just sort of have to be like, I'm not gonna overthink this one this time. I'm not gonna do it. Yeah.
Push on Maine. Let it be.
Yeah. Precisely. So one of the, I guess, main theories or beliefs of this podcast, of me, is that the state of pop culture is a mirror of the state of things psychologically, right? I think
agree.
The two inform one another and reflect back to us at large, right? Just like what's going on. Whatever's going on in pop culture is a psychological indicator too. So if that were actually the case, and maybe it is, but what do you think today's or the current state of pop culture reflects about us psychologically, mentally? What do you think?
I think we're all in panic mode.
Yeah.
And I think and I don't mean that in a drastic way. I mean that in a, listen, I think I was chatting, I had an interview with the makeup artist Bobby Brown a couple of weeks ago. Wonderful woman. Get her book, Still Bobby. And plug. I don't know why I'm plugging something I benefit nothing from. But she was talking about how her brand is really driven by elder millennials. And I've been thinking a lot about that concept of elder millennials and how, which, I am, I suppose. And I think on some level, there is this nostalgia for a time where things, at least on the surface, felt okay.
Yeah.
And, for millennials, particularly of my generation, everything has been fucked for the past 25 years, starting with September 11, going to the crash of the economy in 2008, going to massive, massive, massive college student loan debt, going to, obviously, the election of Trump, going to COVID. I mean, it's just literally been a shit show.
The hits kept on coming, yeah.
But I don't even mean in a societal way. I mean in an economical way, that our futures are unlikely because of the instability of our lives for the past 25 years because of culture. And so because of that, when everything is fucked, it seems, and the future of you working until you're 70 some years old is probably going to happen in our life, and for elder millennials at least. Sometimes it feels real good to go back to that First Wives Club meme. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just feels real good just to take a little moment and be like, yes, you don't own me.
Yeah.
It just, you just need it because that when you're working that fucking job at 72 years old,
right,
I'm still going to be like, thinking about Diane Keaton in First Wives Club.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think that is why so much nostalgia content is coming up lately. There's so many like really funny, hysterical, poignant content of like me in the backseat of a Honda Civic, a senior year of high school, or me now listening to this song wondering why do I love it so much, and it flashbacks to like, oh, because it samples a Paramore song and that's why you love it so much. And so I agree. I think a lot of that is indicative of this desire to at least feel like the future was still before us and open and hopeful. And there was so much that we didn't understand about, but there was just so much we didn't know. And it was nice.
Well, and it was like,
and it was like kind of nice not to know. Yeah.
Also, too, I think about this a lot. For a lot of times, I'm like, is this a thing that's unique to our generation, or is this a thing that is just repeated over generations of every generation? And I talked to my mom about that, and she was saying the concept of not having retirement, or of not affording college, or of not being able to afford a home, that never really was a worry of hers.
Oh, wow.
And it is a worry of ours because it's a reality. And that to me is fascinating, that like we are quite literally living in a generation of people who, and of course there have been other generations that have had worse things than we're living through. We are very privileged in a lot of ways. But that said, the immediate generation above us had a very different life expectations than what we have. And they are very much more comfortable than we are at this point in our lives.
The buying power that they had was a lot higher than what we have. Anytime I see something, read something, hear something that talks about the buying power of previous generations versus a millennial, I am just like, shaking my head. I'm shaking my head, like thinking, God damn. And while there's a part of me that appreciates having the knowledge to understand what's going on economically and to understand that this is systemic, it's not because I personally failed at something. Again, boy, do I miss senior year of high school thinking, oh, it'll be okay. It's like, my parents have figured it out. They got a house. Okay, so I'll get a house. It was really nice thinking of my future in that way.
But in a lot of ways too, because we are honestly, the expectations were in our head of those things. And so it is easy. And I think from a therapy perspective, it is really easy to feel like you fucked up.
Yeah.
That you did something wrong because you're still paying rent at 40 years old, or you're driving a fucking, I just bought a Kia Niro. You know what I mean? Like you're doing things that are just not cool. And you have my mom at 40 something years old was buying a Chevy Tahoe, a massive car, and had all these different things. And she didn't do anything crazy for a job. She had normal shit.
Right.
And so it's just the comparison of me and my life versus where my mom was in her life at this age are very different. Yeah, I think that's, for some people, you can feel a lot of pressure mentally because of that. And I think it's not right.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, because it is so easy to personalize all of that, rather to internalize all of that and think I fucked up. And my hope is that the more of us, right, that are saying, no, no one's buying a house, right? The more that we're talking about that, the less alone I feel, at least when friends or, just strangers, right, that are talking about the fact that it's really, really hard and nearly impossible for our reason. And here are the reasons. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's not because I didn't invest in Google when I was 19 or so, you know what I mean? No. It wasn't because I wasn't buying stocks when I was a 21 or anything.
Who's buying stocks at 21?
I mean, for apparently some people are, which again, I'm thinking, good for you. I was not thinking about that at 20, 21.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what they don't have? They don't know. They probably weren't having as much sex as we were. They weren't. They don't know how. They don't know how to handle their liquor the way we do.
Amen.
They don't know how to have a good time the way we do. They have not had the lived experiences that I'm very grateful for.
Thank you for saying that. Hell
Yes.
yeah. Hell
Yeah.
Especially the holding our liquor part. That I can with almost 100% certainty say damn straight.
I can drink some of these kids under the table.
I would pay to see that, just so you know.
Man, just saying.
So one question I ask every guest is, what is one piece of advice or one nugget of wisdom that you've gotten from the mental health / therapy world that you take with you everywhere you go? So this could be something you read in a book. It could be something your own therapist shared with you. It could be something you heard on a podcast. Anything from the mental health world. What's one piece of advice or nugget of wisdom that you're like, this is like at my core. I take this with me everywhere I go.
You know, I thought about, we texted about this before, and I thought a lot about this. And when I was a kid, when my parents separated, we were forced to go into a therapy, like a kids therapy thing called Kids in the Middle. And and it starts there, but it fills out later. So what I learned about myself in that is I often would use parts of my personality to fix things, to control something, to make things better. You know what I mean? Because I knew that I could talk my way into something or out of something, or I could make something better for someone else just by the sheer force of my personality. And I knew that I could do that. And so I learned that there are some things you can't have control of anything in certain situations. And that's where it started, but I still didn't quite get it. And then when I was trying to think of like how I really learned to give up control, like how I really learned that I can't control everything. And I think it really comes down to, and this is so dumb, but I was a smoker and I missed smoking every single day of my life. I loved smoking. Oh my God, it was the coolest thing I ever did. I was so cool smoking and I loved it so much, but I quit smoking, and I did it through a book, Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Smoking. And I recommend it to everyone who ever wants to get off any sort of addiction. It's just fantastic. But one of the things that the book really taught me was that this control that you're seeking to stop the thing that you want to stop doesn't necessarily, you don't need to feel guilt about not being able to stop the thing, because there's quite literally a monster inside of you. This is how he describes it in the book. Begging you to feed it in some capacity, either through a cigarette or whatever you're doing.
Right.
And you have no control over that monster. The monster. That monster is always there, but you do have control over the actions in which you choose to do.
Correct.
And so having intentional choice over things that I can't control actually helps me. So like losing control a little bit.
Yeah.
And understanding how to lose control through thoughtful, intentional, learned experience choices, I think has been my biggest lesson. Going from Kids in the Middle to Alan Carr.
That's the Kids in the Middle to Alan Carr.
Yes.
Lord knows you can't have one without the other. So
no, you can't. You can't. You can't.
This,
Kids in the Middle.
I know that name. I'm like, I can't tell if I love it or hate it.
It sounds like a Farrah Fawcett TV movie.
Yeah, like a Lifetime TV.
Yes.
Yeah, Kids in the Middle.
Supporting performance from Cameron Manheim. Yeah.
Kids in the Middle. I'm going to look that up. This idea of control comes up a lot for all of us, of course. But even with like some of the guests that I have, my clients, of course, and the conversation typically where it ends up is this idea of understanding where you do have some control or influence and where you don't. And it sounds like at some point, that's what you understood, that there were some things that you can control and influence, and you can allocate energy towards that. And that the stuff that was totally out of your hands is kind of like, I need to stop trying to force that, or I need to stop trying to make that happen or make that change happen, because that's out of my hands. And I think that realizing that and realizing where your energies are best suited or most useful can be so liberating and freeing. And you're less encumbered. It's like lighter. You know what I mean? Because you're not trying to like force something to happen necessarily.
I mean, and it's just like really freeing to realize like, okay, well, can't do anything.
Right.
Like
there is something kind of nice about
like,
that. Yeah.
It is just sort of like, it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll just move through it.
I'll just move through it. Right. Precisely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Again, control. That's one of those things that comes up so often. So I am
also the Janet Jackson song.
Yes. Also that. Exactly. Well, obviously, I mean, that goes without saying. Yes. Where can people find you if they want to read your work, if they want to listen to your podcast, or where can folks find you?
H. Allen Scott on everything. Everything, really.
Just
Google it. You can find me. I'm there.
That is true, folks. I Googled his name and it's all there. So he's
what? Does anything inappropriate come up?
Oh, just like a couple nudes. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
You're fine. Like, oh, thank God I put those there.
I can't sell them.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. And folks, I am a therapist, but this is no substitute for good old-fashioned therapy. So take what's useful, leave the rest, and don't forget, therapy makes you hotter. Bye.